Welcome to Behind the Visual, a podcast where we interview the people responsible for creating, putting together, and producing all the images and videos you see in your world every single day. I am your host, advertising lifestyle photographer Mark Hansen, and today my guest is Diana Lang. And Diana is a multifaceted photo producer, art director, and designer who is currently the production supervisor and photo producer for Home Depot. So, hello, Diana. Thank you for
Hi, how are you?
doing this whole thing. Wonderful. How are you? Staying busy, I know.
Yes, super busy.
Yeah.
Super
That's
super
probably
busy.
good, I guess.
No, we've been on shoot all week this past week. So
And you're shooting today too, Saturday, aren't you?
yes, I am working today.
Wow. Busy woman.
I am busy. I like to stay busy. Keeps me
That's
going.
good. Yeah, it's better sitting around hoping that something's coming in.
True.
All right, so tell me a little bit about how you got started as a photo producer. Like, what led you to this whole thing of getting to where you are at this point?
Kind of my journey.
Yeah.
So I started out, actually, I kind of fell into the industry. I actually started out going into college as a pre-dental major,
Pre-dental?
concentrating pre-dental,
Because you
focusing
like to
on
put your hands in people's mouths and mess with their teeth?
I love teeth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ashlyn does too. Ashlyn, my youngest, she thought about being a dentist because she likes teeth, but I don't know if she's actually going to. Don't think she's going to do it because she can't handle blood.
Oh.
So that's an issue, I think, with that.
Well, I liked it so much. I was DA1 certified by my senior year in high school.
What's DA1 certified?
Dental assisting one.
Really? Before you graduated high school?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That
That's how much
explains your
I
teeth.
liked
You
it.
do have nice teeth.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. That was kind of like my passion. And but then as I was in college, one class took me off the grid for that route, and that was biostatistics. I did
Oh, God.
horrible in it.
Wow.
And so I decided I wanted to change and go into architecture.
That's a
That was
big
my
change. Yeah.
yeah, that was my second on the list because I loved architecture. And so I went and talked to the school, and they told me, well, you need to build a portfolio to submit to go into architecture. So that's when I started taking classes in the art building. So I started taking design classes, illustration classes, photo classes, and I never left.
Wow. Okay. So what'd you
Yeah,
graduate with?
a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in graphic design.
Okay. So dental student to graphic design student.
Yeah, no, my parents, man, they just shook
I'm
their
sure they were
heads.
happy. Yeah. I'm sure they thought that was a great career move.
They're
money's
like,
money's
what are you
very
gonna
similar. Money's almost
do?
the same in the two, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, what are you going to do with that degree? Because they don't know. They're like, they were immigrants coming from Asia, and they're like, all they know is doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's what you
Right.
have.
So did your parents come here? Like they're the first generation to be in the US with
Yep.
you?
I was the
Wow.
first one in my entire family to be born in the States.
Really?
hmm
Okay. And where do they
Yeah.
come from?
Well, they were coming from Thailand at that time
All right.
because they were in a refugee camp over there for a few years and had my sister.
Really? Oh
Mhm.
God.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound
So
like much
they did
fun.
a little bit of traveling to get here.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess so. Jeez. So how many languages do you speak?
Two,
Two?
fluent,
Just
English
yeah.
and Vietnamese.
Okay. Well, that's
Mhm.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
I wish I spoke. Well, I don't really care because I don't go get my nails done. But
Oh, they're always talking about you.
yes, I'm sure. Tammy says or Alexa talks about going in there and they start talking and she's like, I have no idea what they're saying, but I think they're talking junk about me. Yeah, probably,
No,
maybe.
they were just probably saying how nice your hands are.
Uh-huh.
Good
Yeah.
nails, good
Did you see that
cuticles.
Seinfeld where they did that?
Oh.
So I think it was Jerry's dad was in Vietnam, so he spoke Vietnamese.
hmm
And Elaine was getting her nails done, and they would always talk about her, and she's just like, I know they're talking about me, but I don't know what they're saying. So he went in there with her, and he's just as white looking as you can be. So they
Yeah.
started talking, and then he understood everything they said. So he busted them and what they were talking about. I don't remember what they were saying, but it was funny because. And then there was some woman in the background who heard him screaming, and she was some woman that he had hooked up with in Vietnam when he was over there, and
What?
she came out. Yeah, it's a
I don't think I saw
funny.
that episode.
Oh, it's really funny. Yeah,
Oh
you
my
should
god,
check
it's
it out.
hilarious.
Okay, so you graduate with a graphic design degree, and then what happens?
So I graduated with a graphic design degree. This was during the big recession, like during our time, going down, like
Yeah,
around 2003, 2004 time period. This is when
yeah.
everything was just starting to go down really fast. So I ended up just working part-time, and I found contract work doing design work. And then finally, I started working with an ad agency in Charlotte. At the time, it was called Doggett Advertising. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
tried it with them as their contractor for about a couple weeks. And then they hired me on full time after my first project with them.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say a couple of weeks, and then they fired me.
They fired me. No,
Well, that's
no, it's
good.
funny. Yeah, so it's funny because I worked long hours because it was their big project when they're big clients. They were chasing their client was chasing the Charlotte Douglas Airport to build
Oh,
out
yeah.
their e-concourse.
Okay, yeah. Wow, that
So
is
that
big.
client actually won the job. So I helped him win the e-concourse build job.
That's impressive. So you
Hmm.
came right out of school knowing what you were doing,
Yeah, it's that time period where you're kind of like, I hope I find a job. I didn't care what it was, just get me a job.
right?
But I got the job. And I remember that client, I was talking to him and he was like, I told, my boss at the time, George, Doggett, the owner, he was like, if you don't hire her, I'll take her off your hands. Just let me know.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's really good.
Yeah. So I worked with them for about a little over a year as a designer. And then I transitioned to art direction as well. And then, so I worked on like some stills and some commercial. That's when I finally crept into the realm of commercials a little bit as well, because I worked for a couple, they had a couple clients. There was like a bank and everything. So they did a couple commercials for them. So I was able to help out with that.
Oh,
And
that's
then
cool.
I went corporate. So that's when I started working with Lowe's as their art director and designer.
So you started out art director at Lowe's.
Hmm.
Okay. And then from there, you went into photo production, or what? What were you when you were with?
Oh, from there, they outsourced my department, like our design team.
Yes.
So that was a frenzy. I've never been outsourced or laid off. Well, it wasn't laid off. I was outsourced, but I wasn't happy being outsourced because it was one of those things where I'm kind of stubborn, where you're
Yeah.
moving me to something I don't want to do, or I could have wanted to do, but you didn't discuss it with me and you decided to move me. So I was like, no. So I got lucky and I found a job within a month. And that's when I became an account manager for RJ Reynolds. And they moved me
Really?
to, yep. And they moved me to Connecticut. And I worked up in Connecticut for almost 3 years as their account manager.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
How was
Oh,
the
I do it
account manager
all.
thing? Did you like that?
I really enjoyed it. I worked I worked in all my different counts. I didn't really have an office. So, it was nice. I was like in my early 20s and driving around with a company car. And I didn't have to worry about anything, I was just roaming from one place to the next, each account, and all the accounts are so nice. And I
You're
don't know if
driving
you
around
know
in a
RJ
Ford
Reynolds,
Taurus.
huh?
What was your company car? A Ford Taurus?
No, it was really bad. It was a Chevy HHR. Oh God.
HHR.
It
What's
looked
that?
like
That
a
kind
little
of like
hearse,
weird little yeah, like a mini
like a little
hearse. Like it's been,
PT.
yeah,
Yes.
like it's been
Yes.
slapped in from the back end and just accordioned up. And yeah, that's a weird looking. That was a weird.
Yeah. So I did not have a good experience with that car. So I remember the first time I took that car into the wash, and after it got clean in the washer or whatever, I was trying to drive forward and it wouldn't drive. It spun. I was like, what the heck? So I had to back up to give it I had to back up to go forward to give it a little bit of like oomph.
At the
And
car wash?
yes, because the car wouldn't go.
So if it rained, you were stuck.
Oh my God, I was sliding all over the place. And so finally I went to the car dealership or well, not, wherever I went, I don't remember. And I was like, because it was winter, I was like, I need snow tires. So they put snow tires on my car. I put the other tires in our storage unit, like the company storage unit. And I was like, and I drove around on snow tires the rest of the time. They're like, you need to switch yourself. I was like, yes, but no.
No. Wow. All right. Well, great car.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's not my preference in cars. Other people like it, just not mine. But no, I did work at RJ Reynolds for a few years, and um, I mean it's a great company. It's like a super good company to work for. But then I came back to Charlotte, and then Lowe's hired me back as a producer. So that was my first producing job.
So which do you like better, art directing or the producing?
I like producing.
Yeah.
I love art directing, don't take me wrong. But because I work full time, like when I was an art director, I did that. But then I also had my personal clients on the side. So I constantly had to be creative, literally like 8 to 9 hours a day at work. And then I would go home and be more creative again. And
Yeah.
that burned me out. So I like
Oh,
the
I'm sure.
production where I can think logically and plan because I'm a big planner, like huge planner. And I was able to be creative and also, not be so creative,
So were you
but
like that as a kid?
creative or
No,
planner?
planner. Like, did you plan everything out as a kid? Like, if you guys were doing something as a group, were you the one who planned it all out and like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. Let's do this. Let's go here. Did you do that, or is it just something that happened later in life?
No, I've always done that. I think even when I was younger, I've always been like the initiator to plan to do something like our family vacations. I
Yeah.
planned them all. Like a high school, middle school student planning on my mom's family. I will vacation. She's like, I would come out to her, let's go somewhere. And she's like, where do you want to go? And I'll tell her, and she's like, okay. Then I would figure out how to get somewhere. This is before Google Maps, Waze. This is before all that. I'm over here trying to find a map and like trying to figure out which is the best way to go.
Did you ever use MapQuest when it first came out?
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucked.
But that
Yeah.
was before but when I was planning, that was before MapQuest. MapQuest was like
MapQuest was like
when I was in college.
late '90s, mid to late
Yeah.
'90s, maybe mid '90s, I
Was it?
think,
Yeah, something. Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
So that was like end of my high school year, early
Yeah, because
college.
MapQuest, I remember I would download it and I would get the directions, and half the
Mhm.
time it had me turning left when I should have turned right, and always constantly
It's
got
your
lost.
other right. It's still
Yeah,
right, but your other right.
it's like the model's right. Every time I tell models, like drop your right hand, they always drop the left hand first, and they go, oh wait, hold on, and then they drop the right hand.
Oh yeah, I always have to think about it and I go, wait, left, right, okay, yeah.
It amazes me how many people do not know literally. I mean, I get with the models because they may be thinking I'm saying camera right. And
Right.
so I try and think which is their hand, but I think they're probably thinking, oh, he means camera right, so I need to drop my left. But it
Right.
amazes me how many people really have to go right. Oh, wait, that okay, that's
Yep.
my left hand. Yeah.
And it's not like we don't know, but I think at that moment, our brain just kind of like stops for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, which one is my right or
Okay.
left? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just slow.
Nah, no, I've seen you. You're not slow. Yeah. I mean, I
Um,
think it's just a thing. A lot of people have it. A lot of intelligent people that I've met still have an issue with the right and left hand
right.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
understand
I
it
mean,
personally,
it's
but
just I think what it is you're so used to doing something and you don't think about if it's right or left. It's kind of like when I work on my laptop and if I want to do certain things with my Mac, I do it right away. Like I know all the quick keys, like it's automatic, it's natural to me. But then when somebody asks me, oh, how do you do this? I sit here and I'm like, and I'm over here like looking at my keyboard, like, what do I do? It's hard to tell
yeah,
somebody versus
I can
it
see
like
that.
instinct.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
Hmm.
so you start producing for Lowe's.
What?
Anything? You started your production for Lowe's
Yep. So
as
I
a
worked
producer
there
there.
as their producer, and I was their very first producer ever. So I had to
Really?
really kind of
Wow.
mold it. Yep. You didn't know
Did
that,
they?
did you?
No, I had no clues. Was it an ad agency before that was handling everything? Then they brought it in house, or was it something where they just hadn't been doing it at all and they just decided, let's
They just
use
didn't have
Diana?
anybody helping them put shoots together. They were all reliant on the studio. So it was, this is the thing that amazes me is
So
all
they're
these,
in-house studio. They were just kind
no,
of
they're external studios. Lowe's
okay.
didn't have an in-house studio.
Okay. They have
Yeah. So
so what, like Kreber, whoever the big studios are
they
up
hired
the
them
road
to
from
do
them?
everything.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So they brought me in, which is funny because my interview was so easy.
Yeah.
I remember walking into the interview and the lady that hired me, um, she was only with the company like maybe a month after I got hired because she ended up moving back home. But she was like, "Oh, I walked in knowing knew I was going to hire you before you even sat down." I was like, "Oh." She's like, "Your reputation precedes you," and I'm like, "Oh, well,
Really?
this is going to be way easy."
God. Well, that's good. That's great.
Yeah, so but yeah, she hired me and I just went and did what I did. It was because I'm such a planner. It's like I know what needed to be done and what was lacking.
Right.
And then they were also wanting to improve photography. And so we just had to find ways of doing things to make it more efficient and just bringing in, I mean, actually bringing in external people, photographers sometimes to shoot for us because the studios did a great job, but sometimes we just needed a different perspective and a different style. And the
Right.
studio doesn't always provide that because they're so used to the Lowe's way that when you bring somebody else in, it's like freshness, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what we ended up doing. And then a new manager came on, he got hired, and then he and I got along great because he came from a different industry as well. And that's when we just started moving things around. Like we hired external people, freelancers, contractors. I mean, we just hired all sorts of people to get things done, but we really elevated the level of photography at that time frame.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I
That's when
remember.
we met you.
Yeah, which was one of the best first meetings I think I've ever had with anybody since we met at a bar and sat outside at a bar and had a couple of beers. And I think you guys literally flipped through my book, I think, just to make me happy because I think you'd already seen my work online.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Well,
we
we
just
looked at your
talked.
stuff. So this was what we were tasked at Lowe's at the time was to find good people that were local.
Yeah,
And this was a while ago. So, you know, it was harder to find what we were looking for. There's a lot of people that were good, but it wasn't what we were looking for. And what we
yeah,
saw with your work, even though you've never shot product before at the time, we saw what you could bring out in people and photography because we shot with people a lot with products. So all we had to do was just kind of give you that direction to shoot in. But honestly, the thing that we really looked at is personality. We want to know we can work with you. We saw
I
your
think
work
that's a big
already.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you can find somebody who's good at what they do, but if you don't get along with them, to have to put up with them for 2, 3, 5 days at a time, that
right.
can be a tough thing to have to handle sometimes.
So we had to find somebody that was that's willing to go the extra mile, that's also willing to work hard and be creative, but then also know that they will get along with everybody else. Because one bad seed in a production can ruin it all. It can bring everybody's morale
Oh yeah,
down.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen. Yeah, a couple of times. So I know what you're talking
Yeah, so
about.
yeah, we flipped through your book. We saw it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, it was, I think it was an hour and a half. We sat there and talked for about an hour and a half. So when I left, I felt pretty good. Yeah, because usually if they're not interested, it's a 5 minute meeting, 10 minutes at the most. And they're all right, thank you. And then you're out the
Thank
door and you
you.
know, oh, well, that didn't go so great. You've
Yeah,
done other stuff though. You've done besides Lowe's.
yeah, I've worked with a lot of different companies. I've also worked with Bed Bath and Beyond. I've worked at Bruegger's account, Alterna Hair Care, did stuff with them. Britax, CPI, Gildan clothing,
Yeah.
and now Home Depot. Yeah, so I've had a list of people I've worked with.
So is there one shoot that stands out as the most fun or your favorite, or you went to a cool location or something that's just that if you could do all your shoots the same way, it would make your day constantly, every day?
I would have to say, I mean, I enjoy all my shoots because I mean, I just love the production and the idea of everything and just getting everybody together. But I would have to say the shoot that really sticks out to me most is it was a shoot we did for about a month. It was a month-long shoot, and this was for Lowe's patio furniture. And this was the first time we brought different people in to work together. So nobody knew of each other. Like our digitech didn't know the photographer didn't know the assistants, like nobody, like stylist didn't know anybody. So to put a group of 30 people together and hope it works out and everybody works well together for a full month.
Wow. Had you met these people?
No, not all of
But
them.
you hadn't even met them.
No, phone, email, stuff like that. Because you can have a conversation with somebody and
Yeah.
try
So
to get
did
a
you at
feel
least
of
talk to them
somebody.
on the phone ahead of time to kind of get an idea that everybody's going to be cool
Yeah.
together for a month?
Yep, that and
Yeah.
that or it was by recommendation. Like if I knew somebody that I trusted, I would get their recommendation. So it's things like that. You gotta trust people to a certain point. You can't do everything. I've
How long
learned.
did it take you to put all that together?
I mean, it wasn't that long. I mean, a couple months of
Yeah.
like searching and finding and everything. But after shooting for a full month in hot, sweaty weather, and we're literally together 24/7 because we're all staying in the same hotels together and everything. It felt really great at the end of the shoot when I would have people email me, call me, or tell me, we cannot wait until the next shoot.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
Everybody's like, we all want to come back. And I mean, I work them.
Oh, I know you do.
Long hours, like early mornings. I break them up into shifts. Like, I make sure we get it done. But, I'm also one of those people, I was like, I also trust that you do your work. And so I know we'll get good outcome from it. So, but yeah, it was really good to know everybody really worked well together. I mean, of course, there's some incidents that came up and things are, I mean, 30 days with somebody, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But I even had like the photographers and even like, the crew guys, they're like, we've never worked on a shoot where everybody gets along like this for 30 days. It was
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, that is a long
So,
time. But
yeah.
we did it because I did one with you guys. It was a 5-day shoot, and
For
everybody got along really
OPE.
well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 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 yep. And everybody got along really well in that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there was no issues. I don't remember really any issues going on with that.
No. Yeah, because
Yeah, that's impressive.
because we knew you at the
Yeah,
time, and I and I knew you'd get along with the other crews too. So it was easy to put you guys together and know that you guys can work well together.
yeah, that was good. And I actually remembered everybody's name. Which I don't ever do. I am terrible with names, but I made a point to remember every single person's name. As soon as I met them, I made a point to remember their name. So, because I knew I was
Yeah.
going to be 5 days, I couldn't just be like, hey, you,
Hey, you.
yeah.
Yeah. But what's good though is I've developed a lot of friendships out of those too. Like a lot of my shoots, I developed the friendship with almost everybody. Like
That's
even if I
good.
don't work with
Yeah.
them, we'll still stay in touch.
Well, that's a good
So
thing. That
that's
means
a
they
good thing.
are a good group of people. If you keep in touch with them and just don't like, all right, move on.
No, I still keep in touch with a lot of them. Like Christmas or whatever, I'll get a text or I'll text them Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday or like a lot of us. I mean, a good handful of them has moved to New York. Like the
Yeah.
guys that are kind of starting out here, they've moved to New York. And if I go to New York, they're like, we'll grab dinner or lunch together. It's like you've developed that relationship. But then I also know if I need them to come down, they're willing to come down and help me out on a shoot if I need them to.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Who's gonna give up work?
Very few people. I don't know too many people are going to turn it down. Yeah, that's for
Hmm.
sure. So,
Hmm.
how's Home Depot?
Home Depot is a great company. It's definitely different. Their creative department still is, compared to some other companies, is still pretty new. Maybe 2 or 3 years, 4 years, maybe at max.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different way of working. I mean, every company I go to is a little different, but they've been great. I mean, I've met new people, and I've been up to Chicago a lot because they use a studio in Chicago a lot, and it's just a different kind of feel in that office.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
other than
everybody.
Chicago, do you travel a lot with them?
Yes, I do travel a lot with Home Depot.
Any place good?
Huh?
Any?
Chicago's always fun. I do that a lot. Chicago is a big part of my last summer. I spent pretty much almost every month, like for the past 3 or 4 months in Chicago. I'd probably come back for like a week, maybe week and a half.
Just summer, or
Um,
you got to be up there in the winter too?
so I've been lucky. My projects have landed where I go last year I went to Miami for the winter, and then I went to Chicago for the summer. So my projects landed out
Well,
pretty
that
well.
worked out. That's good. So when you produce the out of town stuff, like when you're in Miami, I'm assuming that's more location down there.
Yeah. Yes. So that
So
was on location, and we were working with our other internal partners, which is the broadcast team.
okay.
So we worked together
Do
on
you have
that.
people down there already that know the locations, or is that something you have to figure out yourself when it comes to?
So with that one, we worked a lot with the broadcast team, and because it's mainly their stuff, because they're so massive when they put a production together, they have people down there that they know, and then we also hire outside agencies to put it
Okay.
together.
All right. Do you guys have a ton of agencies? Because you see some companies like Coke, and they have, if you see their list of agencies, there's probably like 50, 60 different agencies or some ridiculous amount of agencies. And then other companies have one or two agencies. Does Home Depot have just one, or they have multiple ones, or?
Home Depot has multiple, but not as large of a number as you would think. I would think they would have more, but they actually they don't. They're pretty loyal to some of the ones they've worked with.
Are they mostly
Um,
Atlanta?
no, so one is based out of Texas. I know one is in Atlanta. I'm trying to think, and then like some other places, like we'll work with Chicago. We actually work with some studios. We work with studios in North Carolina as well. So, but their big agencies is the one out of Texas right now.
Okay. All right.
hmm
So when
Yeah.
you're in Miami, do you get to hang out down there afterwards, or do you just go down there, shoot, and come back and don't really see much? Because I know a lot of people, like, if I'm traveling a lot, they go, oh, you just went to the Keys, or you just went to New York or LA or whatever. How was it? What'd you do out there? And half the time, I'm literally flying in, hitting the hotel, shooting at the location, back to the hotel, location, back to the hotel, location, airport, home, and I don't really get to do anything.
So I normally try to come down the day before our pre-pro meetings. So I get a little bit of that. But even still, it's pretty much their hotel and then work. So, I mean, like photo shoots, I'm normally on a 10-hour day. Broadcast is between a 12 to 14-hour day
Yeah.
for broadcast. So my days are long. So I normally go to work, go grab dinner. If I can, hit the gym at the hotel. And then I get back and work again till 2-ish in the morning on
God.
emails and everything. So, and then I'm back up at again.
You
So
know,
I
have
don't
to be
really
on
sleep
set
a
at
lot.
7, 8 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually about 8 because we're the client.
Right. Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's nice. You get to sleep in a little bit longer.
Yes, I get sleep in a little bit, but I remember I will work like what usually on set. I usually work until like 1 or 2 in the morning. I mean, there's some days I was at 3, and I remember people in the office are like, "What are you doing sending emails at 3?" I'm like, "Cause I'm on set all day. I don't have time to do this during the day. I have to do it sometime, otherwise it starts building up, and I'll have hundreds and thousands of emails that I haven't gone
Uh,
through. So they're
yeah.
long, long, long days."
Sounds like it. My God. Yeah. I didn't know
hmm
you were up that late working on all this stuff.
Yeah,
Mm,
it wasn't every night, but a good bit of it.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when you're looking for people, or
Yeah.
you're meeting with people, does it matter if they bring in, say, a physical portfolio or an iPad or whatever? Do you care? Do you have a
Mm.
preference on that?
No, I don't have a preference.
Okay.
As long as it looks good.
Right.
I mean, don't bring me a ratty book, and don't
Yeah.
bring me an iPad with like a cracked glass. I can't see anything on it.
Well, I talked to Jamie Boyder, who's over there at Bolt Group, and they've
Oh,
done, Krispy Kreme, Coke, Lowe's, all that stuff. And he said he's had people come in and they don't even bring anything. They just assume that you've already seen it and they're just there to talk to you. They don't bring a portfolio at all, which I thought was really strange. He said they don't
yeah,
hire
that
them. They send them on their way, but they at least
yeah,
give them
that
some advice on,
I wouldn't be very happy either.
yeah.
I was like, bring me something to look at. Like, be prepared. That's my big thing. Like, come prepared and meet me. Like, you want me to hire you, so give me a reason to hire you. If you come with nothing, then I have no reason to hire you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I just didn't understand that. It made no sense to me that you would just show up with nothing and just hope that, you know,
Mhm.
they'd already seen it, because you never know. I've had meetings where I assume that when you agree to meet with me, you've at least flipped through my website and looked at it and thought, okay, I'll meet with this photographer and we'll talk about it. But I get the feeling a lot of people haven't, that they'll just say, okay, if they have time for the meeting, and they don't even look at the website. So if you show up with nothing, then they have nothing to see, which
Yeah,
is a little
exactly.
strange.
But you also want to see what their good work is. And then also, if you're meeting with a certain client, this is what I do. Like, like even like if I was to interview for new jobs or anything, I always tailor my stuff to who I'm talking to.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I always tailor it, but then I would also add, additional things that are my personal work in there just to show personality and how far I can go and what I can bring a certain client to.
Right.
But I always tailor it somehow to make sure so they can relate to it a little bit.
Well, yeah. Like
Otherwise,
you
they
wouldn't
don't
want
get
to go to
the
Home Depot with your portfolio and all food. Like, hey, here's my food photography, because I don't think Home Depot is going to care about your food photography.
no, not really.
Yeah.
I mean that's just how it is. It's just a lot of people are like that. But I mean, I also look at other things like lighting and you know all that other aspects of photography that we want to pay attention to make sure that you know what you're doing. You can shoot product, but if you don't know how to light product or if you don't know composition, it's not going to do me good. But
Yeah.
that's where I look at other people's personal work too to see how far and how artistic they can get. Because no matter what, we want good, pretty pictures. Like we want to sell our product.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Do you prefer, like, as if you're flipping through a portfolio, do you want the person to talk about each individual shot, or do you want them to just be quiet until you ask a question about the shot, or how do you prefer that to go? Because I know I've had it different ways. Some people are like, well, tell me all about all these images, and then some people, they don't even say anything until they just ask you a question when you come to a certain image that they like or something. They'll say, how did you shoot this, or where did you shoot this, or whatever. Do you have a preference on that?
I like it to be kind of conversational, and I like to hear the ideas and the thought behind a shot, or like what happened or how it built. So I like for them to be conversational, not
Yeah.
for every shot, but if it's something that they're really proud of, I like to hear about it.
Right.
Because it could be a shot, because with clients, sometimes you want this type of shot, but the client wants this type of shot. So you kind of have to compromise. And so
Yeah.
it might not be 100% of what you want, but it's good for what the client wants. And so I kind of like to know the thought process of that, kind of like how did it become this final image? Um, but I mean, not for every shot, but just, as I'm flipping through, if there's something that really stands out, I'd like for them to talk about it because it shows me that they're excited
Right.
about a certain shot or they're excited about their work versus, I mean, I know some people just sit there and kind of let it go and I keep flipping, but I mean, it's great, but then I'll be done and I'll look at them. I'm like, okay, so, I mean, there'd be questions I have, but I like to know that they're excited about their work and they're passionate about it. And you can tell when somebody's passionate about their work.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
people I want to work with, people that are really into what they want to do, passionate, and they want to strive to be better versus, oh, this is kind of like, okay, this is what I need to do because I want to make money.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, it's more fun for everybody when you enjoy what you do as opposed to just doing it because you want to make the cash on
Exactly.
the end. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's why I turn down certain things, like
Hmm.
because there's certain things I'm just not interested in doing.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell when somebody cares about their work.
Yeah,
You know, I
I
mean,
think
because
it's important.
I've been on shoots before when the photographer just shoots, and no matter what the art director say or what I say, they'll be like, I was like, well, do this, and like, okay, and they just do it, and I'm like, well, what do you think? And they're like, no, I mean, it looks good with what you're doing. I'm like, okay, but then I'm sitting here like, well, what? You're not giving me any input.
Right.
Like I'm asking for your opinion. I'm hiring you for a reason. I'm hiring you for your eye and your expertise.
Well, I think that's a big
So,
part of it. I think you, as a photographer, or definitely as a photographer, my job, I think, is to help enhance whatever ideas that
yes,
you've come up with, or like, hey, maybe we try this thing, or we try this thing, or we light it this way, or we do, just something a little bit different. I mean, obviously, you're going to have ideas that I'm going, oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that most of the time. Um, but I think part of my job is to come up with that, and the other part of my job is to solve issues that pop up on set because they always do, whether it's the lighting or it's raining or whatever
right.
it is. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it was kind of like the shoot you and I we did recently, where all the graphics was on the back. We're like, how can we show this
yeah, yeah,
graphic? Like, I mean, we want to be able to see the activity or the idea of what we're wanting to do, but we want to be able to show the back of the shirt and not make it look like the guy's just standing there and you're just shooting the back.
yeah. That's yeah. Because there were a couple where I was like, okay, and then there's some where I had the go bys of what we were shooting, and then of what they wanted to shoot, and then the reality of the location were slightly different. And so then when you get there, you have something in your head like, hey, okay, I know how I'm going to shoot this to make it the way they want it. And then you
Right.
get there and you go, oh, wow, this isn't the same location in that go by, or things have changed from the way that go by looked. So we need to figure out how we're going to make this work.
Right.
And yeah, but that's the
So
fun part of it, I think.
yes, it is. It is fun. That's when you get your creative juices going.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a
Mhm.
little bit about, so I know you travel a lot.
Mhm.
So give me some of the best places you've gone just to hang out, vacation, not even for work necessarily.
Vacation? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Because we're
Oh, I
always
like
looking
them
for
all.
someplace new around here. I think we're going to go to Greece, not this summer, but next, because Ashton graduates. So
Okay.
we're going to go to Greece as the graduation trip. But
I haven't been to Greece. It's on my list. But I loved Iceland.
I've heard
I went
really good things from people about Iceland. Like
I
everybody I know
thought
has been there
Iceland
says
was
it's great.
beautiful. The people are nice. I went in the winter time. I want to
Well,
go again during the summertime because those are
yeah,
two different
I'm
experiences.
not going in the winter.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I hate the cold, but let me tell you, it's something you'll never see
What if
before.
I go
Like,
in the winter? I have to go by myself because
oh,
Tammy's not going with me.
take her to the spa. The Blue Lagoon Spa is the biggest thing over there. She can just spa it up all day long.
Okay, she actually said in August this year, because it got a little cool and rain hit and the clouds came and it maybe dropped down like 69 or something in August. She came home and said, I hate cold weather. And I usually hear that in September. At some point in September, she will say that. So I don't think taking her to Iceland in the winter is going to be
Well, take her in the middle of the
the best
summer because it's
place.
supposed to be beautiful and green.
Yeah, I think that I could handle. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could probably make
So,
that work.
but yeah, I loved Iceland. I'm a big traveler. You know I am. I
Yeah, I know.
go as much as I can. I love Iceland. I love going back to Asia. I went to Asia with my family years ago, just to kind of see where they came from and where they grew up. That was a great experience.
Yeah, how was that?
That was that was amazing. Like my mom took me to the house she grew up in, and I met people that she grew up with, and I met my great aunt, which I've never met before.
Oh, wow.
But everything was so cheap. Oh my gosh, I can eat a full meal for like $1,
Really?
maybe $1.50.
Okay. That
Um,
part sounds good for sure.
but the
How long
food
is
was
that
really
flight?
good. The flight was horrible. It was so long. I think it was like a 20-something hour flight.
Oh God. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't even
but
want to go to Hawaii. I mean, I
I
want
just
to go
got
to
back
Hawaii,
from,
but I don't even want to fly to Hawaii. So,
yeah, I just got back from Hawaii in December. Maui was beautiful. That is definitely a sight I haven't seen. Like all the waves and the islands and I mean, it was like so intense where it kind of freaked me out a little bit
the
because I
waves
would try to,
were
huh?
the waves or just the whole place?
The waves.
Okay.
Like they're so intense. Like you fall in your dad. I just haven't seen like waves that intense where it hits the side of mine. You can see it just come up like, 100 feet just from hitting a
Oh
rock, the side of
wow,
the
God.
rock. And it's not like they're light waves, they're really strong. But it's so pretty, you can't stop looking at it.
That's what I've heard. A friend of mine, he was a lighting director, assistant lighting director on a lot of big tours. So he's traveled all over the world, and
Right.
Maui is one of his favorite places in the world to go.
Oh, I loved Maui. I would go back. I would definitely want to do the road to Hana like a little earlier because we went a little later. And so by the time we got around to the second part of it, it was so dark, which might have been a good thing that it was dark because apparently I was driving really close to the edge of the.
Okay.
Because I think I would have freaked out if I saw like how close I was because it was so dark I couldn't see over. It was just black,
Right.
and all I knew was to stay close to the side that I could see, but not hit the actual mountain
Okay. Wow.
because there are no guardrails.
Yeah, that's a little freaky, I would think. What if you
Just
sneezed and you
just
just
the
like,
second
what if you
half.
sneezed and went "Ugh," like that? It's over.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah, that was fun. But then of course also because my brother didn't fill up the tank. So we're like, crap, we don't know how far we are from another gas station. We're like, we gotta go really fast to get out there.
Oh God. Okay.
It was all sorts of fun.
Sounds like it. Yeah. God.
Oh,
Have you ever
but yeah,
shot in any place like that? That's that cool of a place to shoot. Have you ever done any shoots in some place that's cool?
no, not yet. I wish I
No.
have, but no,
Yeah,
not
me either.
yet.
Well, the coolest place I've shot was probably Cabo. I did shoot in
Oh, that's
Cabo
fun.
San Lucas. That was a cool shoot because it was one of those where you had to be up and on set at sunrise. So, I mean, call time for the models was like 4 a.m. or something ridiculous because they
Of
had to
course.
start hair and makeup. But we had to be on set by 5:30 in the morning, I think. But then you'd shoot till 9, and then that was it for until 3:30. So you would have that break between 9 and 3:30 where you went and had breakfast, you took a nap, you hung
Right.
out, you did whatever, and then at 3:30 it was call time again. The models I think was maybe 2:30 or 3 for touch ups and that kind of thing, and then you went and you shot from you really started shooting around 4:30, and then you shot till sunset, and
So
then
they're looking for the afternoon light, like the evening
yeah.
and the morning,
So you
because
get that
that
morning
high
light, that
noon.
afternoon light, yeah, and you skip all that high noon stuff, and you have all that time off, and
Yeah.
that was a cool shoot. And then when we finished, it was really only a day and a half. We were there 3 days, and after the second day of shooting, we went and had breakfast, then went and hung out in town in Cabo San Lucas, and went and had lunch, and went to Sammy Hagar's restaurant Cabo Wabo, and hung
Oh.
out there, and then just walked around the place. That was pretty cool. Although we were shooting for a Hispanic magazine. So everybody on my crew was either Hispanic or Italian or whatever, and I was the whitest looking person in the group. And there's like all of us walking down the street, we get into this little alley, it started to get a little sketchy. And all I'm thinking was, if somebody pops out, I know who's getting shot first or who's getting
You.
robbed. It's going to be me. Yeah,
They're like, you're the minority. They're probably like, who's this gringo?
yeah, I'm sure they were. You never met this guy, but I had a friend of mine who also assisted me a lot. His name is Robert Peralta, and he's Mexican. His family's from Mexico. He grew up in San
Hmm.
Diego, but he's fluent in Spanish, and we're on a lot of sets where the hair and makeup person, or where when we were shooting in Miami or even in New York, where they spoke Spanish. So he'd start talking to him, and I couldn't understand anything because I knew very little Spanish. And
Right.
I would look at him and go, Robert, what the hell are y'all saying? He said, don't worry about it. Unless you hear the word gringo, it's all okay. I was like, all right. So I just let it go. But sometimes it's good. I had an assistant. Don't know. Did you meet Elizabeth, my assistant? She worked with me for a little while. She's
What's
had
her last
multiple
name?
kids now. Ortiz? Maybe didn't. Maybe she came along later.
I think so.
Anyway, she looks very full on white American kind of thing. She's Cuban and speaks fluent
Oh,
Spanish. So we were doing a shoot in Miami and I had her with me and we walked into this house. We were shooting this location house and it was for some Telemundo star, this woman. And so we're looking at her house. We're shooting everything at this woman's house. And I told Elizabeth, like, don't say anything when we first get in here. Let's just walk around and see. And then, because they started talking, it's like, just tell me what they're saying. And so they were talking because they assumed she didn't speak Spanish because she looked so white.
white.
So they were just talking about how they were worried that we were going to screw up their house and we were going to mess up the furniture and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, tell her now that we're taking pictures. If we move anything, we'll put it all back and exactly where it was, that kind of thing. And they flipped out. As soon as she started talking Spanish, you could tell they were shocked. They were
Oh
freaked
yeah, of
out that she
course,
had
because
been
they
listening
thought
to
they were
everything.
talking behind your back.
Yep. So that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that happens.
So tell me, what was last couple of questions here? What's the toughest part of your job as a producer?
Getting everybody together. Well, it's that, and depending on the client, one would be making sure all the merchandise arrives and on time for our shoot, because we don't have merchandise, we can't shoot.
Oh, yeah.
The other one would be getting everybody to work well together. But I will have to say, catering is such a bitch, trying to get everybody together with catering.
Oh, I'm sure, especially now that everybody's gluten-free or vegan
I
or
mean,
whatever. You didn't have to worry about 15 years ago. You're just like, all right, this is what we're eating. And everybody said, all right, and they ate it. And now it's like, oh, well, I'm vegan or I'm gluten-free or whatever it
oh my
happens to
God,
be
that
now.
is so hard to get everybody's allergies or, what their sensitivity is. And when you have when you have like 3 or 4 is fine, but when you have like 15, 20, 30 people on set and you're trying to accommodate for because I'm one of those producers of people in general that I want to be sure everybody's taken care of.
Yeah.
Because if you're happy, I'm happy, and if I'm happy, everything's going well as well. And it's just like I want to be sure everybody's taken care of. And so I'm not gonna have somebody on set. I'm having them work 10-hour days, not be able to eat. So I'm trying to accommodate everybody. And if I have one person that's like allergic to dairy, the next one's allergic to garlic, one's allergic to grain, gluten free, and then I'm just sitting here like, how do we even? You guys all get lettuce.
What do you do for that? I mean, because do you have to order certain like special meals for each one? So say you have 15 people on set and 10 of them can eat whatever and they're fine with whatever. And then you have these 5 that have a dairy allergy and a gluten allergy and one's a vegan or whatever. Do you have to have the company or whoever you're getting the food from? Do you go, all right, well, I need one without dairy. I need one that's vegan. Or do you just find something that kind of works for all of those 3, 4, 5 people? And like, here's what you guys are eating.
So the best thing I found so far that works is to get everything is just kind of separated out, like on the side. So if it's a salad, put the cheese on the side. It's just everything is
Yeah,
like
that's
on the
smart.
side. And then they can it's almost like a bar, like a food bar at that point. Like if we're having like a protein, then if somebody's allergic to garlic, then I'll tell the catering company and they'll pull one aside and make it without garlic or something.
Right. Well,
But
that's
I mean,
good. Yeah, that's
mainly
smart
if
way to do
everything's
it.
kind of separated out, is the easiest way to do it. But I did have one person I remember on set, and I remember her nickname ended up being Snowflake because she's so fragile. She's the hardest person to work. She's super
Okay, did
sweet.
she know her name was Snowflake?
Yes, I believe
Did she
so.
knew that was her nickname?
I believe so.
Okay.
But she, sweetest person ever. But I mean, I try to feel for her because she's allergic to everything, and I can't imagine if I was allergic to everything. So, I definitely focus on her, like her food, to make sure that
Right.
she can't eat everything. So, because she was allergic to dairy. She was dairy, gluten free. She couldn't eat eggs. What else it was? I don't know. It was one other thing I can't remember. But all I remember, I was like, "What do you eat?"
Right. Do a lot of people get nicknames on your
Um,
sets? The reason I ask is I
hmm.
did a shoot and my friend Robert was with me and he was assisting. And we're talking about the shoot probably, I don't remember if it was on the shoot or if it was sometime right after the shoot. We were talking and he was saying, like, he was calling the producer, he called the producer Goldie,
Oh,
and her last name was Showers.
oh,
So you can put that together in
oh,
your head.
yeah.
And then, so they called her Goldie, and the art director, they called him Rod because he was just a dick. And so, I mean, he was literally, he would be right beside me with his camera shooting exactly what I'm shooting, to the point where I had to say, "Hey, your foot's in my shot. Can you move
Oh,
your foot
wow.
out of the way?" I mean, that's how, and my assistants were just, if they could have taken him out back and beaten him down, they would have done it, just
Oh,
because he
wow.
was constantly right on top of me, making it difficult for me to get the shot. So they called him Rod. And then there were a couple other people and they all had nicknames. And so I asked him, I was like, "Well, so what was my nickname?" He said, "Oh, you didn't have one." All right. I said,
You felt left
everybody,
out?
everybody on set had a nickname but me. I'm not that stupid. What was my nickname? He's like, "No, man, we didn't give you a nickname." I was like, "Bullshit. What was my nickname?" He's like, "All right, we called you Fraggle." And I was like, "Okay, that
What?
makes sense." So there was a show on HBO. It was called Fraggle Rock,
Oh, yeah, I
years
know
and years,
Frogger.
yeah, where Fraggle was this Muppet kind of character and had this very hair that kind of went all over the place, and I think I want to say it was kind of reddish hair, but then it was like all spiky and all over the place. So that's why they called
Uh-huh.
me Fraggle, because of my hair. I was like, okay,
Oh,
I
I
can
have to
get,
look this one up now.
yeah,
I
look
don't
up
think there
Fraggle
were
Rock.
nicknames on my set.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
they
think
would
people gave
nickname people.
nicknames. If they did, I didn't know about it.
A lot of the ones I do won't don't, but Robert's always made it fun, and so he's tended to nickname
Yeah.
people, and they didn't know it,
Yeah.
But yeah, people tended to get
I mean,
nicknames.
we always try to make our shoots fun. I mean,
I've always had fun shooting
it's
with you guys. It's never been. I mean, there's some shoots where, not with y'all, but there's some shoots I've been on where it's just not. It's a grind. You're
yeah,
trying to get however many shoots done. The client's not there for fun. The client's there to get the shots done. They don't care if you have fun or not. Just do it, and
yeah.
you get it done. But it's not fun to do.
I don't think any of my sets are like that.
They're
I
not. I've
always have
always had
fun.
fun shooting with you guys. Yeah, yeah. It's always been fun.
I
So,
always have fun. I remember, oh my God, I remember there was one shoot I did when I was in Ohio, and the photographer, the crew, and I guess we were shooting at this one location, and we were shooting outside, and the owner had two dog, one dog or two, but they were mastiffs.
oh God,
You know how big those dogs are?
yeah.
Huge. And she didn't pick up after her dog outside.
Oh.
And we needed the guys to work outside and shoot outside. And the photographer had to like lay something down and like actually lay down and get like a lower shot.
Uh-huh.
And so they looked at me. They're like, "We need to get that picked up." I was like, "Well, then you guys go pick that up." So they ended up drawing straws see, to see who would be the one to pick it up. Guess who won? The photographer.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah. Why not?
You can hear him bitching the entire time, and we were taking photos. Everyone's just laughing because the photographer is such a great person, but he's one of those that are like, he's kind of set in the ways of doing things that he likes other people to do it for him in a
Oh
way,
yeah,
but
I get it.
super nice. But when he drew straws and he got the shortest one, and he was like, "Damn it."
He should have rigged that one. He should have like, okay, I'm gonna hold the straws and I'm drawing mine first. And
Well,
that way
he
he
held
made
the straws,
sure.
but yeah, he wasn't the first one to draw.
Uh, Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I actually
I,
have a photo from it from years ago of him picking up like that big, like it's like
oh, I
you
bet
need
it's
two hands to
huge.
pick up the mastiff's
God.
massive
Uh-uh.
poop.
I did one. It wasn't that, but we were shooting in a cow field, and
Oh,
I had to lay on the ground to get some shots. And you had to find places in between the cow poop
yeah.
to shoot. Yeah, but I didn't have to pick it up. Thank
Yeah,
God.
well, it was kind of all over.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
Like I said, you got to make it fun, you know? It's like it's a horrible job that nobody wanted to do, and we made it fun.
For some people, at least.
We made
Maybe
it
not for the
really
photographer.
entertaining. Hey, he's a good sport. If you're able to dish out your egg, you got to be able to participate.
That's true. That's true. I always say I have friends who they like to give you a hard time, but they cannot take it when you give it back to them.
Oh,
Right.
that's not fun.
If you're going to give a hard time, you have to be able to put up with having it given. And my brother is probably one of the best people I know at that,
Hmm.
because he would do stuff to you and make you mad, but he would blow it off. Like if you tried to like, you're a jerk, you're an ass, whatever, he would just go, "Is that all you got? Really? Oh, that hurts me so bad." Oh, and then that would just piss you off even more, that he would just act like it didn't bother him at all, and you were just an idiot for everything that came out of your mouth. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
But you finally got to the point where you just really couldn't say anything. You could either hit him or you just had to just go whatever and walk off, because you
Oh,
knew
so
you
how many
weren't going to
times have you
win with
hit
him.
him?
A lot. I used to I would get him back just randomly when he didn't know it. Like one time he was mowing the grass and we had a BB gun, and we lived on 3 acres, but we probably had an acre of actual land that had to be mowed, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the stairs, the porch, and he's out in the yard mowing, probably 30 yards away or something like that. And he's mowing the grass with a push lawnmower. And I had this pump BB gun rifle. So I started pumping. I pumped that rifle and I would just line it up and it would just, I would fire it at him. And most of the time I'd miss and he had no idea. But occasionally I would hit him. I'd hit him right in the back of the calf or the ankle or something. And he would just look around and finally figured out what it was and came charging at me. But that's how I would get back occasionally.
Oh, brothers.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, last question. What has been the strangest or most interesting thing that has happened to you on set, or in your, doesn't even have to be on set, but in your job? What's one of the strangest or most interesting things that's happened?
Oh, wow. God, everything's so strange. It makes it a norm.
Yeah.
Um, I have to think about that one. I think, um, wow. I don't really know.
Yeah. Nothing too exciting.
I mean, there are things that happen on set where, there's certain people that give me pushback and, and then we have like to have a nice little talk or anything like that, but nothing really that I can think of that's kind of out of a norm of a photo shoot.
Have you ever had
But
to
then
threaten
the
to
thing,
fire somebody
huh?
on set? Have you ever had to threaten to fire somebody or send a model home or something like that on set?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. I used to shoot a lot of kids stuff, and I saw it happen multiple times where the creative director or producer or the art director would walk up to the kid or the parent and be like, "Hey, if you want to do this, you will go over there and do this right now, or you can go home because we have another one coming in." And then I saw
Yeah,
a creative director one time tell the kid, the mom was laughing, the kid wasn't doing anything like they were supposed to, and the mom was laughing at everything. So finally, the creative director went over and was like, "You can take your kid home. We have another one coming in 30 minutes, and we'll just shoot it with them." So
yeah. I've had
I
to.
appreciated it.
I haven't had to do that with talent, thank goodness, but I have done it with a hair and makeup artist.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember we were on set and they were just so busy on the phone and chit-chatting and they weren't paying attention. And I pulled them aside, I was like, hey, we really need us to focus and pay attention to this. And they just weren't listening. And so
Yeah.
I replaced her,
I
told her
had that
not to come
happen
back.
with an assistant, and it was early on in my career. I was doing a 5-day shoot in New York,
Yeah.
And this guy just shot something for German Marie Claire or something, I guess. And I just found him somehow. I think maybe one of my friends suggested him. So we're shooting, and he shows up late the first 3 days of the shoot. And he's on his phone or back off on the computer checking on emails or something like that while we're shooting, during the shoot days. And so after 2 days, I was like, hey, if you come in late tomorrow, you can just turn around and go back home. There's no point in coming in late. You can just go back home. Don't do it. And he looked at my friend and my assistant, Robert, and he was like, is he serious? And Robert said, yeah, I think he is. So he's late again on day 3. So he shows up, and then I'm shooting something, and I hear him on his phone talking to somebody behind my back while I'm shooting. So I purposely made him go adjust a light for no reason, just to get him off the phone.
Yeah.
And then so the end of the day, I asked Robert, it's like, hey, who else can we get in here for the next 2 days? He said, let me make a phone call or whatever. So he found somebody in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, he found somebody.
Yeah.
So I called the photographer, my assistant, and I said, hey, don't come in the next 2 days. I'm done. I told you if you were late, if you didn't get off the phone, it wasn't going to happen. So he got pissed. He got so mad. He started threatening me. He was like, we had an agreement. I said, yeah, but you didn't, live up to your end of this agreement. And he said, well, I'm going to call my lawyer. And I said, well, first of all, you don't have a lawyer. I promise you, you do not have a lawyer. But if you do, you go ahead and call them. That is absolutely fine. He said, well, I tell you what, you can let me come back in for the next 2 days and we'll just go about this as normal. Or I'll just stay home for the next 2 days and you can just pay me for the full 5 days like you were supposed to.
No.
I said, how about this? How about you not come in for the next 2 days? I will pay you for the 3 days you worked and we'll just call it even. He's like, you're going to hear from my lawyer. And I was standing outside a restaurant waiting to meet with a potential client for dinner. And he was walking up right then. I said, you do what you got to do. And I hung up, never heard from the dude again.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think he thought because he had just shot for German Marie Claire that he was better than me because we were shooting for American Baby. We were doing like a 5-day special edition thing for American Baby magazine. So I think he thought, well, this is some little kid magazine. And I just shot for German Marie Claire, which I guarantee you it was a test he sent to him and didn't make a dime on. Right. But, he just thought he was better and didn't do his job. And so I think sometimes when they do that, you got to let them go.
Well, yeah, because it makes your life easy. I mean, harder. I mean, because I know is it the hair and makeup or wardrobe person that I let go? I think I let go one hair and makeup person and a wardrobe person, but to different jobs. Because I remember I was like, I don't want you back. Because I called their agent. I was just like, I need you to send me somebody else. This person's not working out. I mean, if I'm over here jumping in to do your job that I hired you to do, and which I don't mind helping out. I help out all the time on set. Like I'll help out with the crew. The stylist, whatever you need me to help. But if I'm constantly trying to do my job and your job, like, why am I paying you? So,
no, I'm with you.
Yeah, so I had a wardrobe person let go and I had her replaced, and I had another hair and makeup person let go and have them replaced. But I mean, I'm not here to make my job worse than it is.
Right.
And they were making my job harder.
Well, as a producer, you have so much to take care of and so much to do anyway. I mean, you're constantly all over the place, and
I am
having
all
to put
over.
out this fire or take care of that or whatever. Yeah.
Planning for the next shot, everything. I mean, I don't sit down. Like I literally, I remember I had one manager a long time ago. He thought as a producer, I sit in a chair with a little little pen, like a little razor pen, pointing out what people do. I was like, dude, you do know when I'm on set, I do not sit down. Like I am constantly on my feet, running back and forth, getting all this stuff, and I don't even eat. I eat after my crew eats.
I think that's when they need to come on set and watch what you do. And my father-in-law thought I basically did nothing. I was just like some international playboy is what he told Tammy, until he saw me do a shoot. And we did a shoot at his place and he saw me work and he was like, okay, you actually do work. I see now. Yeah. You don't just walk around. And I think we did a test shoot there one time just for my book. And he told Tammy, why can't you just take one picture and be done with it? Why's he got to take, so many pictures of the same thing to get the one he needs? And I was like, well, it's not that easy. I mean, sometimes you do get it in the first shot, but you don't know it, or you take 50 shots and you don't get to the last shot.
Right.
But he finally understood after watching me that it wasn't quite as easy. So I think sometimes people just need to come on set and watch and realize this isn't as easy a job as they all think it is. It's not. You can't complain. It's not hard, as hard as a lot of other jobs could be, or as bad as a
Yeah.
lot of jobs could be. But it's not just
It's not
easy.
easy.
No.
No. Well, I mean, what really surprised me when he made that comment is because he was my manager at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should know better.
You would think that he would, know the job a little better than that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a big learning curve for everybody. I mean, and it is like a producer's job, I think, is super hard and it's very crucial. At least I feel like it is for me because I want to be sure everything runs smooth and everybody's taken care of. And I mean,
Well, it
just
is, because if you don't do your job and you produce something that, and you don't do your job well, a lot of times when you show up on set, that's when everybody figures it out. And all of a sudden you're scrambling to, find a new location because the producer didn't really do what they were supposed to do on this location, or they didn't get the right props for what you needed over here, or hire the right person to do the right thing. And it's a huge job. I think it's a very extremely important job when it comes to bigger shoots to have a
I
producer,
mean,
because it's
it's a
hard
lot
for
of
one person to
planning.
handle it all. Yeah.
It's a lot of planning. And I always tell people, it's like I plan for the worst, I hope for the best, and all my shoots are organic.
And they have
Like
to be.
they have to be. Nothing is ever, I mean, I have never had a shoot where it's so like on point, like timing, everything, and I don't think I've ever had a shoot where everything is exactly how it's supposed to be.
No, I was telling one of my assistants the other day, I said, I think whatever time the first shot is scheduled for, that should be bumped another half an hour. So say your call time is 8 a.m. and your first shoot's going to be at 9:30. Like, you might as well assume that's really going to happen at 10. And at least if it happens at 9:30, great, you build in some buffer time, because a lot of times shoots don't I don't know that I've ever had one go literally right on time, that you shot it exactly how it was planned out. We always end up making it work, and it always ends on time, usually.
Right.
But it's very rare that, say you have a shot at 9:30 and your next shot's at 10:15, that you really start that next shot at 10:15. Sometimes it's you don't finish shooting the first one until 10:15 and you don't get to it till 10:30, but usually ends up ending on time or close
There's always
to
got
it
to be a
anyway.
buffer.
Yeah. That's good.
So.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You.
I know you have another shoot to do or get to today, so I'm going to let you
2
go
o'clock.
and get to that. Yay. Working on a Saturday.
Love it.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching, for listening. I appreciate it. If you like it, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the little like button, do all that kind of stuff, and keep listening and watching behind the visual. And thank you again, Diane. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.